good that is. If it saves you 2 hours today and it gives someone else like 5 days of headaches after that because you haven't thought through the brief that you send to your developers. What product managers should double down on, drop, and learn in 2026 based on actual data. I could have opened this post with product management is dead, or if you're not an AI PM in 2026, you'll be left behind. Fear. But whilst those take gets attention, they're rarely grounded in fact. And I don't need to tell you this, as an amazing product people you are, you know well that we should always seek truth over nice sounding narratives. This is why I spent several days doing my own research, going through different reports and looking at data to understand what actually is happening in product. This is something I do every year as a part of revisiting my strategy. Last week I decided to walk through it all live in this live stream. I'm not going to cover everything from the stream here, instead I'll focus on the key takeaways. Specifically, the 4 big trends reshaping product right now, the top skills for product managers in 2026, and what you should double down on. Okay? This is very interesting. I think we'll have a look at it. 4 big trends reshaping product in 2026. Job market rebound. If you feel like the market has crashed, you aren't entirely wrong, but zooming out tells a different story. I think this is true. I kind of feel it. It's not concrete. I don't have any data, so I'm really excited to see what Ant is going to bring up here, but I kind of feel a shift where the job market is sort of, companies have now gotten rid of so many people, and they're also stressing a little bit about all the competency that they need to build up in order to get like new product managers or new designers or new developers. So yeah, lockdowns and COVID drove a tech bubble, which eventually popped in 2024. It's easy to spin a story that recent layoffs are driven by AI. Yeah, this is something that I've talked extensively about before, that I don't think this is about AI. We had a lot of developers after COVID, and we had a lot of designers after COVID. And I think very few, maybe layoffs were triggered by AI, but the replacement of them hasn't happened by AI. It's been happening by people scrapping projects or essentially using the same product manager for more projects, and hopefully it works out. But I think we're going to see a correction of the correction. So we had a boom. If you zoom out, you'll see that we had a boom followed by a sharp correction. Yeah, I mean, if you follow the line, it's definitely. I want to go and check this stream out. This seems really cool. But we'll go through the high level stuff, and then I think if you're more interested, go and check out product pathways. Which means if you want to remove that bubble, the chart would look more linear. Yeah, exactly. If you ignore this part, it just goes. Then we're starting to correct again. Today, there's approximately 42,000 open product manager roles on LinkedIn, double that what was reported this time last year, indicating that the market is well into recovery and more aligned with what we saw pre-2020. There are also more people in product today than pre-2020. Roughly 2.5 million people have the title product manager on LinkedIn. That's crazy. That was not the case a couple of years ago. I hope most of them are building useful product. I'm not sure, but I hope so. So whilst we feel the aftershocks of the bubble bursting, the market is actually in good shape and product management is far from dead. In fact, it is growing. And I feel like this is also true for designers and developers. Yeah. AI PM roles. Of course, if we're talking about roles, we have to talk about AI product management. Currently, AI PM roles account for approximately 8 to 10% of all open product management roles, with nearly half of those positions based in the US. It's important to note that this count represents new jobs, not the total number of roles in the market. I think it's early days to draw any firm conclusion on this specific role, but as you will see in the data later on, 96% of PMs, regardless of their title, use AI on a frequent basis. So title aside, using AI to build products is definitely becoming the norm. I know it has been for me. After all, I was helped by AI to pull this data. Yeah, and I think one of the big struggles for product managers and everyone is going to be how to use AI without losing control of what you're doing. And the example that I like to bring up is if you're doing market research or you want to do product discovery and you're talking to people and you're interviewing them, I think one of the worst things that you can do is to talk to the person that you're talking to fairly casually, because it becomes like that if you're not taking notes, and you just use the transcript function of Zoom or Teams in order to get notes from the conversation, and then you take those notes and you put them into a Miro board or some other space, and you have an AI do analysis of that. I find that when I do that, I lose so much control. I'd much rather wait if I can get a high level, a very, very high level understanding of what the problems are for the users, for the people, interacting a lot more with people. And then I do the first run of an analysis. I do my clustering, I do my writing as I used to do. And after that, I input my analysis into the AI. Sometimes I've found that if I also give it some context, like parts of transcripts that I choose as being relevant, it becomes good. You could argue that I'm missing things here, that I'm not letting the AI get all the information. But I find if I do that, it becomes very confused. And if I don't take notes in my meetings, I lose a lot of control and understanding of the subject that I'm trying to figure out. So that's one example of an AI skill that I think PMs and others, designers, developers, everyone needs to figure out is, at what point do I let go of control over the thing that I'm trying to do in order not to lower the quality of the work that I'm doing? Because obviously things are faster, but if they're faster and also poorly executed, that's no good. Profits over growth. Product doesn't operate in a vacuum. Whilst we solve user problems, we need to also do that in a way that works for the business. This means finding user problems that help us achieve the business goals. And this is where we saw a major shift. Companies shifted towards revenue and profit targets over growth goals, like adoption, acquisition, usage, etc. This was one of my predictions from last year, as I could see the macroeconomics shifting towards uncertainty and less liquidity. And the data showed this. Product Plan's 2025 report showed revenue growth as a number one success metric for product teams. Product board CPOs surveyed had a similar finding, with revenue and profitability as the top metrics product executives are now using to define product success and report to the board. I'm also hoping, I don't know if this is just very, very hopeful, but I think maybe we can slow down the product cycle a little bit by focusing on profits rather than growth. That's what I'm hoping, at least. If you can increase the quality of the product in such a way that you get better profit. Maybe that's too hopeful, but there's a chance. Product losing a seat at the table. This is not what I want to see. This macroeconomic shift has a direct side effect of leading to a reduction in empowerment for product. I feel like product has been declining for a while. Product Plan's report shows a 5% increase in senior leadership deciding product strategy as compared to last year, and saw an increase in output measures such as tracking the number of items completed on a roadmap as key measures of success. Product Board's CPO survey also showed increases in senior leadership deciding the product strategy and strategy influencing shifting away from external markets trends to internal directives. And I've been seeing this with my clients and almost everyone in product mentorship. There has been a real shift towards delivery and top-down direction this year. So if you feel like you're being handed down roadmaps this year, it's not you. Everyone seems to be in a similar position. Yeah, I can see that. It would be interesting to see how this affects the ability of new startups like small, I'm not necessarily talking about Silicon Valley here. I'm talking about maybe in Scandinavia, someone trying to solve a problem by building a digital product. And whether the market is a good place or a bad place for that right now, I don't know. If you have any comments on that, I would love for your insight into that. But big companies are big companies, and just sort of goes back and down, up and down, how much leeway you get as an employee versus the leadership. AI wins and challenges. The AI data was interesting. As mentioned before, regardless of the title, AI-powered product development is happening. Product Board's AI survey highlighted 94% of product professionals use AI frequently, and nearly half have it deeply embedded into their workflows. In terms of outcomes, it's largely internal productivity, with reports that AI are saving PMs about 1 to 2 hours per day. I can see that. I can also see that it varies dramatically, and that the quality of that time varies dramatically. I don't think this 1 to 2 hour thing tells you much about how good that is. If it saves you 2 hours today and it gives someone else like 5 days of headaches after that because you haven't thought through the brief that you send to your developers, you've still saved the 1 to 2 hours per day. You can go golfing or whatever, but does it save the product? It's saving the PMs, but does it save the product team anytime? However, outside of productivity, the outcomes are less promising. This is something that I'm very interested in, because you don't see a lot of cool AI products that solve user problems. You see technology people using it to simplify and streamline their work, but not to build cool stuff using the technology. MIT found that 95% of enterprise generative AI pilots fail to provide a measurable return on investment or impact on profit and loss, with similar reports coming from Product Board and Atlassian researchers too. I mean, again, I brought up the example a couple of weeks ago about AI chatbots that are so bad that it just gives you very poor advice, and it frustrates your users. Like, pure LLMs in a product that isn't just a chatbot where you know what you're getting into, but you actually want to solve a specific problem, is very, very hard to pull off. Very, very hard to pull off. I'm sure people can do it, but it's like taking control over the AI in that extreme degree is very hard. I also saw this with my clients. AI speed can be deceptive. You can build a lot in 4 days, but if it might take months to evals and fine-tuning to bring it to market. Role blurring. Product teams structures are entering a period of experimentation. The traditional 1:8 ratio of PMs to engineering is shifting. As LinkedIn's CPO Tomer Cohen stated on Lenny's podcast, LinkedIn has replaced their APM, Associate Product Manager, program with a Product Builder program that trains generalists across product design and engineering. However, I think it's still early days here. Companies like LinkedIn are experimenting. Time will tell what works and what doesn't. I don't think it's necessarily desirable for a product person to be building the product in terms of coding. I think you need specialists to do something like that. Maybe you can bring down the amount of people in a product team. Maybe, probably. That really depends on the cost of using LLMs when the subsidies ends. I think that's the hard part with that one. It's getting to understand that cost, because we don't know yet. Anthropic and OpenAI are still paying for a lot of the prompting. So if it becomes very expensive, because you have to realize as well, if you're building something and you have an engineer, you have the cost of the engineer, and you also have the cost of the prompting, and we don't know how much that cost actually is. It could be $6 a day. If you have an engineer building a product, that's a lot of tokens. I don't think that's $6 a day. I think that's a lot more. Let's call it $300. I mean, $300 I don't know, maybe it's not much for a Silicon Valley engineer. It's a lot. But if you look here in Scandinavia, paying the salary plus $300 per day, that's expensive. That's a lot of money. But again, I don't know how much the tokens cost for building something. But then at the end of the day, the product, what you've built that day might not be good because it's been prompted, and like me reading through 100,000 lines of code that you've generated in a day is very, very hard. So even if you're very, very skilled at checking what it's doing, and then when you look at it and how it fits together with the product that you're building, it might just be nothing. You need to start over the other next day because it didn't work. The slot machine didn't output what you wanted it to do. It gave you something else. Maybe if it works 9 times out of 10, it's worth it. But if it's 6 times out of 10, 5 times out of 10, 3 times out of 10, where's the stopping point here? Where are we okay with it not working and outputting garbage for a full day, costing $300 plus the engineer's time? It's all about the cost, and we don't know the cost. I think this is one of the more interesting things here that he's not bringing up, is that cost isn't clear. And if it's not clear, we don't know. Yeah. What are the top product management skills for 2026? Product Board's AI report showed the following as top product skills become increasingly important in 2026. Data literacy, synthesizing customer insights, system level thinking, strategic thinking. I mean, these are all good. Synthesizing customer insight and data literacy, system level thinking, strategic thinking, AI, ML knowledge. I would argue yes, but would that be over rapid experimentation, technical fluency, and communicating ideas effectively? I'm surprised at this list. I want to go and check how they came up with that list, because like AI ML knowledge over technical fluency and communicating ideas effectively. Communicating ideas effectively is gosh damn important for a product person. If you can't do that, like what does the data literacy do? Doesn't do anything. That's, yeah. I'm not so sure about this list. Going deeper, the same survey reported 59% believe strategy and business acumen were the most important skills for PMs in the next 2 to 3 years. Okay, fair enough. Seems like that's always the case. Other reports also put strategic thinking and business acumen as top skills for 2026 if you consider the trend mentioned at the start. An increased focus on the business impact like revenue, profitability would reinforce this. So after triangulating several reports as well as trends mentioned before, the top skills for product managers are product strategy, business acumen, system level thinking, data literacy, AI and machine learning, collaboration, and influence. I mean, yeah, my personal list is not this, for sure. My personal list would be different, but to be fair, most of the time I'm very early in the product cycle. I do a pre-study, I use design and collaborate with designers to come up with a first initial draft, and then I collaborate with technology people to get somewhere. And then most of the time for the business acumen, I kind of rely on good managers to support me in that, to help me get further. So for me, collaboration is the top one for a product manager. If you don't have that one, how can you collaborate enough with the people that will help you, the designers, the technologists, and the people in the business, the salespeople, the managers, the people that know the data and have all that? Like, that's going to always be stronger than me coming up with these things myself. Of course, I need to summarize it, but then you're back at that communicating ideas effectively. You take all those ideas that come up from interacting with all of these different people, and then you build communication around that. That has to be more important than AI and machine learning. I don't agree with that. I think this list is bad. I don't like it. I mentioned collaboration earlier as an increasingly important skill as roles blur, but I've also added influence due to increases in top-down decision making. He has a lot of courses. Check it out if you want. And then there's a little bit of a commercial break in the thing. So what to double down on in 2026? I think this is just a repetition of what we've already learned, but this was good. I like this. Thank you so much for summarizing these things. If you're interested in more of what's here, you can always check Aunt Murphy out. I enjoy this. Great. And thank you so much for looking at this video. If you've come this far, if you could consider subscribing or writing a comment, that would really help me. I love interacting with you guys and I'm learning so much from that. So if you have a second or two, just give it a like and I'll see you next time.